Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and today we're going to talk about the Leviathan Kit. Now, the Leviathan Kit came out a little bit ago, but it came out when there was just so much news. I never actually got to cover it, but now that it's out again, I'm going to actually be able to cover it now that the news has kind of died down a little bit. So before we get into the video, guys, if you guys could help me out, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on it, so that way it gets out into the YouTube algorithm and can go to different people and we can get pushed out to new audiences. I would greatly appreciate it. And so let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. We're going to talk about the Leviathan again, and then some things where I found were interesting, some things that we're going to talk about, what we think is going to make it so dominant, and then maybe some small windows of opportunity to do some counters to it. So again, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Leviathan. Obviously it's a dark side, it's a capital ship, it's Sith and Sith Empire. We don't need to read into all this stuff, it's not really that important. Obviously we've had the requirements for quite some time now, and the event should go live tomorrow, which I will probably stream. So if you guys want to check us out, the link for our Twitch will be down in the description below. And I will post a video on it as well, so you guys have that to look forward to as well. Okay, so we've got the basic here, and there's a lot that's going on in here. So we're going to kind of jump back and forth so that way we know what we're talking about. All right, so we're going to deal special damage to target enemy and inflict shock for 2 turns. And then all Sith allies are going to gain 1 stack of ferocity. Now, in case you forgot what ferocity does or is, I haven't seen any new description of it. So sometimes ships can kind of have like some different meanings, but we're going to get the defense reduced by 15% and tenacity reduced as well per stack. So just that one is going to give us minus 15% defense and tenacity, but they're also going to gain 8% offense and potency. So again, just so that way you guys know what we're dealing with. And then if the target already had shock on it, so there's a few different ways of doing this, but you know, basics are going to be kind of a thing that are a little bit more common here than with other ships. You're going to be able to inflict doubt for 2 turns on the random enemies who don't have it. So, okay, so doubt here, you can see you can't gain bonus turn meter or buffs or recover protection. All right, so let's go back into the kit reveal. And then it says, if seize the bridge has been used in this encounter, dispel all buffs on target enemy and inflict fear for 1 turn, which can't be dispelled or resisted. Now, if you guys could see, like, these up here could actually be resisted. So just so you guys kind of know, the seize the bridge is sort of the ultimate here. So that one's going to happen later on. So just again, just so that we know. All right, special one, sabotage the hangars. And again, this pretty cool little, you know, that's a neat little animation. The things that we're doing is actually stuff that's happening to their capital ship, which is pretty cool. It requires us to inflict 15 debuffs, and it's a one-time use. So it's again limited for 1 use per battle. Sith allies gain crit hit immunity and 5 stacks of ferocity. So again, you would have to do 5 times 8 for your 40% offense and potency, and then 5 times 15 for your, you know, your subtraction in defense and tenacity. And you have that for 2 turns. Your target ally is going to recover 40% health, and you're going to increase the cooldown for the colony reinforcement of 1 on the enemy capital ship if they're light side. So this is a pretty interesting thing, right? Like they're really specifying light side. And inflict the capital ship sabotage on all enemies until the end of the encounter. The next enemy reinforcement or seize the bridge is used. So capital ship sabotage, this is going to be kind of what that is. The next ally ship called to reinforce is immediately destroyed upon deployment. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so this ability can't be used unless other allied ships inflict 15 debuffs. All right, like we already kind of talked about. With special 2, sabotage the engines. Again, limit to 1 use per battle. Reduce the enemy. There's a guy, and kind of why I was telling you guys we're going to use the basic a little bit more than normal on this fleet. But again, reduce the enemy capital ship speed by 30% for the rest of the encounter and remove 30% turn meter, which can't be resisted. Sith allies gain crit hit immunity and 5 stacks of ferocity for 2 turns, and target ally gains target Sith ally, I should say, gains breach immunity for 3 turns. Okay, so that breach immunity is gonna it's a call out again to the the bounty hunter fleet that we've had with the Executor. And then the final one, Seize the Bridge, and it can only be used if both Special 1 and 2 were used, one-time use, and it's a 5-turn cooldown. So limit 1 use per battle, take control of the enemy ship, and what a cool little animation, man. It's just shades of what happened in Rogue One. And with that being said, all I'm now wondering about is if we're going to get the Devastator at some point. At some point, I really hope we do get the Devastator, and then we get to see this happen with Darth Vader. Him go onto a capital ship. But anyways, take control of the capital ship, reset its cooldowns, and grant it a bonus turn. While controlled, you can't use Call the Reinforcement, and the cooldown of the ultimate ability is set to max at the start of each turn. So basically, you'll never get to use your Call the Reinforcement, and you'll never get to use your ultimate ability. Your allies are going to recover 50% health and have their cooldowns reset, and all enemies are going to be inflicted with fear for 1 turn, which can't be evaded, dispelled, or resisted. This ability starts on cooldown, of course, and then the first time Sith allies are inflicted with 50 debuffs, reduce the cooldown by 1. This ability can't be used unless destroy the engines and sabotage the hangars, which are the first 2 specials, which we kind of already knew about, were used in the same encounter. Now, the crew ability from Darth Revan is going to be that the Sith allies get 15% max health. Sith ships gain crit hit immunity for 1 turn and 1 stack of ferocity. 1 stack of We Have Returned for 2 turns, and Sith Empire ships gain an additional stack of We Have Returned. Whenever an enemy is summoned, reduce their max health by 50% till the end of the encounter. Enemies attacking out of turn deal 50% less crit damage to the attackers of Sith allies. Whenever an enemy's debuff expires, a random Sith ship gains 1 stack of ferocity for 2 turns, limit once per turn. And the Mark 6 Interceptor gains an additional 10 stacks of Devouring Swarm when starting its first turn after it's deployed. So it's kind of a quick way for it to gain some very annoying stacks. And whenever an enemy reinforces, inflict daze on all enemies for 1 turn. Sith ships are immune to max health reduction. Reinforcement bonus is that the reinforcement ships, Sith ships attacks can't be evaded. They gain 5 stacks for ferocity, and they ignore taunt effects until the end of the turn. And stun target enemy for 1 turn, which can't be resisted when deployed. Okay, so there's a lot in there, right? And like I said, there's, first off, very interesting kit, very cool animations that I really am actually a big fan of. I can't help but shake this feeling that yes, Profundity and Executor, while they might not be like we might be able to find some way to kind of trick the AI, and it depends on what's happening. I anticipate though that what's going to happen is Special 2 is going to be used, and then Special 1 is just going to be used until Basic is going to be used until Special 1 can be used. And then after Special 1 is used, then we're just going to get to Seize the Bridge, and your cap ship is going to be kind of worthless, to be honest. The ultimate ability is pretty helpful on most ships. So again, like the light side thing, where basically you're gonna increase the cooldown of the call reinforcement by 1 is on light side ships. That's going to be something I feel like a direct counter towards Profundity. There's a lot of, anti-breach stuff. So you're not going to get your, I don't know what you want to call it, but the Executor contract to kind of blow up this ship very fast. So the thing that I kind of thought about was, let's look at the Malevolence again, right? Again, Malevolence is not a light side ship. Okay. So we don't really care about that part. Then the other thing is, okay, like they do have some stuff where it's, crit immunity, we're going to reduce the cap ship by 30% speed. And then, yes, they'll do an additional 30% turn meter. The thing is, though, at the end of the day, the Malevolence doesn't care about their speed at all. It's all about turn meter gain, right? It's all about the AI targeting the Vulture Droids and the Vulture Droids feeding turn meter into the cap ships. That way you can get off a fast ult. That's what we did for the Executor. That's, I feel like, probably a good way in which we are going to be able to do that for this one. All right, and then obviously here's the thing too, right? So cap ships, a lot of times the ultimates is very, very important. Especially with the Executor and with the Profundity. Maybe not so important for the get tos, especially the Malevolence. It's definitely important for Radis, as his, or that, Holdo's fleet really wants to kind of get you out of there as soon as possible as well. So this right here, if they achieve this part, right, not being able to use your ultimate is a big deal. Another one that's not that important is First Order. They're not light side as well, so there might be a potential somewhere in there for them as well. And then the other thing here is that they do have something right out here. Let me try to find it. So it does have this right here. When an enemy is summoned, reduce their max health by 50%. People read into this, they probably like, well, that means Malevolence sucks. Well, not really, right? The whole goal, again, of summoning is actually to just get killed. Like, that's the whole point for those Vulture Droids, is that we know that they're going to get killed, especially the summoned ones. We don't really care about them. They can die. Hopefully they do die, because that's how we're going to boost into our ultimate. So this right here doesn't read as a problem for me. Like, I'm not worried about if my Vulture Droids can survive longer. Maybe my main one, maybe my initial one. But other than that, I really don't care. Enemies attacking out of turn deal 50% less crit damage to attacker Sith allies. Again, this doesn't really matter. I think the big thing is going to be controlling the tank that is the Sith bomber. The other thing is again, they actually don't really care about crit damage either. The actual buzz droids themselves is what we're really after, and that's kind of what a lot of their damage is going to come from. So even if they are attacking out of turn and they have less crit damage, it's usually fine. A part of me is just trying to think about this, like, as I think Malevolence sounds actually like our most promising bet again, just because I think we can kind of maybe hopefully boost out of some of this stuff. One thing that I found kind of interesting was maybe, and again, I'm not sure obviously on how well this will work, but eventually, and we'll have to see how fast they can get to this part right here. But they talk about how, you're going to increase the call to reinforcement by 1 on the enemy cap ship if they're light side. So again, won't do that, but they will inflict this capital ship sabotage on all enemies until the end of the encounter. So what does that mean? Again, it means that it's immediately destroyed upon deployment. So part of me is actually wondering if, within the reinforcements of the Malevolence, we actually start off with, like, I don't know, Sunfac, the Hyena bomber, and maybe, soldier or spy or something like that. And then that we would actually wait until we call them out, and then we would actually just get blown up immediately. That immediately boosts up our turn meter up by another 20%. And hopefully, again, they just start targeting the Vulture Droids. I think the interesting part of this is we're going to want to make sure that we actually aren't taunting. That's going to be the hardest part about this. So having a Sith or a Separatist fleet where we aren't throwing up as many taunts, which means the buzz droids, not going out as often or whatever, I think actually sounds kind of appealing. And hopefully they're just boosting up Grievous's turn meter. You can throw a stun on them. We remove all their protection. And while most of them are built with a more primary health base stats, we would then just be able to use buzz droids after we've kind of froze their capital ship for a turn and just kind of go through there. Again, after though, the ult getting rid of the ultimate ability for Grievous after he's used it the first time really doesn't affect us. So that's why I'm kind of wondering, about this cooldown, increase is set to the max each time. I don't think it's really going to affect it. Again, we are just really caring about the 2 other abilities that can summon buzz droids. And hopefully, like I said, they can kind of just keep killing them. And maybe we have enough of a shot to kill off the rest of the fleet. So anyways, it does sound like this is going to perfectly counter Profundity and Executor. Maybe on offense, we can find out a way. Like I said, might be a little bit of a bad AI kind of issue. But right now, I'm really looking at Malevolence right now. I think it's kind of got everything that we are looking for in a fleet. I do think that there might be some tweaking of what the call-in order is, what moves we're using, how we value different abilities that are on that fleet. But I actually really like right now how Malevolence is set up to maybe potentially be a counter towards this fleet. Anyways, guys, that's going to cover it for the video. Let me know what you guys think. And like I said, I'll be streaming this unlock event on Twitch at some point tomorrow. And we'll see you guys in the next one.